Welcome back to another episode of Tech Sheck, and it continues. Well, this time we've expanded the net a little bit. We're going to talk to a gentleman named Usama Nini, who is the co-founder of a startup called Qureos, which is Dubai-based, but has an emphasis on Pakistan also. And with that, Usama, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Faruk, for having me over.
Very welcome. Love to have folks like you on. So let's do it Tech Check style. Jump right in. Usama, tell us a little bit about you. Tell us a little bit about Qureos.
Perfect. So to start off, I'm a little about myself. Born and raised in Karachi, Pakistan. Started off my career in the investments part of the world in Canada. Started off with private equity and hedge fund finance sort of work, but initially, very early on, decided that this is something that is not for me. Want to really move back to the region and give back to the region in the best way possible, and that is when I joined Swivel. More than 2 years ago now, to the global expansions into UAE, Jordan, and Saudi, and that is essentially how my startup journey essentially started coming into being. That is when I met my now co-founder Alex Epior, who is Swedish Romanian, and the co-founder through him, Merad Yegmai, who is Persian American. Met them and essentially started to give back to the community with a passion project. Qureos was always supposed to be a passion project, never supposed to be a startup, and that is how the journey essentially began on weekends and nights. And slowly and gradually, we were sitting on something that was growing super fast organically, sitting at more than 10,000 apprentices. We call our learners apprentices, and multiple mentors and businesses essentially coming and showing interest. And we were like, hey, this is something that is super exciting, growing super fast, and we decided to focus all our times and efforts towards that, because this is something that is super close to our hearts and essentially resonates with the cause that we are essentially working for. A little about Qureos. Qureos is we want to aim to become the world's first learn to earn platform or a marketplace. We have a mission to accelerate 100 million careers by democratizing the learning and earning opportunities globally. And the way we do that is by bringing in together apprentices, mentors, and businesses. And so basically what Qureos focuses primarily on is not on textbook knowledge or teach you how to essentially go through the theoretical stuff, but rather tells you whatever you've learned in school, how do you apply it in real world setting. And once you've done that with the right mentorship, businesses come and hire that talent onto the platform from the platform. So it's basically closing the loop on the whole learning journey, which has been sort of missing a little in the past, when the transition between campus to workplace has not been fulfilled, or between one different careers.
Oh, great. So digging into that just a little bit, what is is it an app format that you're using? Are you providing them some type of a learning curriculum? How does that work?
Currently, this is only on web app platform.
Okay.
We are yet to make an application out of it, but the focus is mainly towards how to make the content super light and super exciting. So just to give you an example, what I usually tell people is when an apprentice graduates from school or basically wants to switch a career, there are three things that they're missing out on. One is verification of the merit that they essentially hold, depending on if they haven't gone to the top tier university. The second one is the network that they essentially have to have, basically to land a particular job. Or the third thing, the biggest thing that is missing out is the experience. Everyone who's graduating is expected to have 2, 3, 4 years of experience, which is completely unfair. But what the companies are usually looking for is, does this person have what it takes to take this job on? And to get that done is something what Qureos essentially does by bridging the gap between apprentices and mentors for them to learn as much as possible and learn how to apply those skills that they have been learning in school. And that is where Qureos comes into being.
Got it. So in essence, are you providing some sort of a certification post to a potential employer?
So certification essentially goes out to the apprentices, whoever completes our learning paths or our courses. And essentially they get a front row seat on the other side to essentially be employed by the businesses who are wanting to hire globally.
Got it. So what's your revenue model in this? How do you keep this sustainable?
Revenue model is pretty simple. A pay as you go or a subscription basically for the apprentice on the business side. The mentor essentially makes money for obviously sharing their knowledge.
Understood. Got it. And I have heard of other concepts like this coming forward. What does the competitive landscape look like right now?
To be very honest, the competitive landscape within what exactly we are trying to do, which is closing the loop on learning and earning, is something which has not been done at global scale as yet. There have been fragments of what people have been trying to do. So there's nothing that we are essentially coming out of the box, which is super new. There's a lot of experiential learning platforms out there with the likes of Maven, Lambda School, and multiple others, which are amazing experiential learning platforms. Then there are super exciting mentorship platforms like Masterclass out there. Then we have some of the more amazing job boards or job connection opportunities sort of boards out there available as well, with the likes of Indeed or even in Pakistan, Rosie.pk. So, I mean, they've all been doing a wonderful job, and we are not essentially trying to compete with any of them. What we are trying to do is essentially close the loop and bring all three together. So an apprentice who's as lost as I was earlier in the day doesn't have to go to three different places to figure out what exactly would make sense for them.
Makes sense. And how many people do you have on the platform now?
So, in terms of users or apprentices that we have, what we like to call in terms of our learners, the community is a little over 35,000 now, growing globally in more than 100 countries. Then we have mentors, more than 200 mentors, and more than 100 business clients who are essentially hiring for these people. But the aim is to obviously grow multiple folds from here on after our fundraise.
Sounds good. And what are the core markets of focus besides Pakistan?
We call our so the way we define our focus markets is any market where we have apprentice, mentor, and business, all three present. So as per se, our non-focus markets are more than 100 right now because we have more than 100 markets where we have apprentices. But some of the focus markets where we see a lot more traction and density at this point is most of the MENAP region, include as well as India, as well as South Africa, which is super exciting. But the aim is to grow a lot more global, more towards the west and east as we scale much faster.
Excellent. Wonderful. Well, it sounds like an amazing initiative, and we definitely wish you the best of luck. This is something that, formalizing the informal learning process so people can actually gain active employment, especially in the tech world, is part of the reason why I started TechSheck. And with Pakistan being a big focus there. So good to hear this.
It's very important for like the motivation to build Qureos was always to give back to the community in the best way possible. And being a Pakistani myself, I obviously wanted to sort of the passion and the motivation essentially started from obviously learning what sort of problems Pakistan is facing. And we constantly do talk about it, but we don't talk about the core problems, one of which is education. And that leads to obviously a lot of other problems in which we do not really democratize the learning and earning opportunities. And what I mean by that is, unfortunately, with the cultural norms that we have, there are a lot of barriers that have been created for 50% of our population out there, which is female population. And how can we sort of democratize and create an environment for them to sort of work and earn or even learn or upskill themselves as they go sort of during this journey, and they essentially have remote opportunities so that those cultural norms and barriers that have been created could be bridged in a much better fashion. And that is what technology is here for to do as we speak.
Fantastic. Great mission. Love what you guys are doing. And as you know, Usama, we try to keep TechSheck bite-sized. So for today, I really wanted to thank you for coming on and sharing your story.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having us over, and super exciting what you guys are doing here.
Well, appreciate that. And as you can see, for our audience, here we go. Hundreds of stories. I've only scratched the surface, but we need your support. Please continue, like, share, and subscribe. Give us candidates. We are interested. Usama has already volunteered to give me a couple of great female candidates. We want to keep working on this inclusion and expansion path for the region. So with that, I bid you all Allah Hafiz.